Here's another episode of Ask the Lawyer. Hi, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com. And today we're going to ask the lawyer about traumatic brain injury, or TBI. And what is it, and what are your options if you have a loved one who's suffering? Here to answer our questions is attorney Logan Quirk of the Quirk Law Group based in Nevada and in California. Logan, thank you for making some time for us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So traumatic brain injury, as I understand it, it's a pretty broad category. Tell us what it is and what are some of the causes of TBI?
Traumatic brain injury is an injury to the brain. It can range anywhere from a concussion to more extreme circumstances. Some of the causes for traumatic brain injuries are usually acute traumatic events, such as vehicle accidents, sports injuries, slip and falls. If you hit your head on a snowboard fall, you can get it in combat, and you can also get it as a result of a physical attack from a blunt force blow to the head. So there's a variety of causes. Some of the leading causes are motor vehicle accidents and slip and falls and sports accidents.
So they're all a very wide range of ways people can suffer.
Big umbrella, correct.
Are there some people, some groups that are more at risk for TBI than others?
Yes, some groups that are more susceptible are children, people between the ages of 15 to 24, and some of the population that is 60 and older. They are more susceptible to TBI. Reasons being for the younger generations, their brains are still developing, especially in children and babies, and along with the age group from 15 to 24. And then with the older crowd, they are susceptible as well.
It seems like a lot of young people, especially say high school age, involved in sports, whether football or soccer or whatever, that we hear a lot about concussions, but we don't often hear about those being a TBI. Are all concussions considered a traumatic brain injury?
I think that would have to be the result of a medical diagnosis. In my opinion, any injury to the brain can be characterized as a traumatic brain injury. There is a scale called the Glasgow-Coma scale that will be used to objectively measure whether or not the person who sustained the injury has a TBI. But in my opinion, any injury to the brain is traumatic, since the brain is probably our most valuable and vital organ and thing that we have. And it's really important to protect the brain and protect our health.
What are some of the symptoms that we should maybe be looking for? Obviously, a doctor will know better, but what are some of the symptoms that may say, you know what, I need to go see a doctor. There might be something going on here.
Sure. So some of the immediate symptoms will be forgetfulness, feeling a little bit foggy, a headache, not remembering anything, repeating yourself. I personally had a concussion, and I recall that my friends had told me that I constantly repeated myself every 5 minutes. So those are signs that you want to look out for. Cognitive effects, emotional changes, irritability, things of that nature. There's a whole wide variety of symptoms. If you want to do some more research, it will take up more than this video, but I would refer the audience to the CDC or Mayo Clinic. They have a wide variety of symptoms, but those are some of the immediate symptoms you can be on the lookout for.
Is it possible to get a traumatic brain injury without having a blow to the head?
You hear about shaken baby syndrome. So in that context, yes. Repeated little, I won't say blows to the head, but impacts, yes. But most commonly in what I see are acute traumatic injuries. I would have to defer to a medical doctor as to the extent of whether or not a non-traumatic blow to the head would result. But most common in my experience are acute traumatic injuries with blows to the head, yes.
When it comes to treatment and therapies for traumatic brain injury, what sort of stuff is out there? And I suppose these sort of things can be very expensive, yes?
Yes, the therapies can be very expensive. There is a wide variety of treatment for traumatic brain injury, especially with the degree of TBI that the person was diagnosed with. So you can get physical therapy, you can go see a neurologist. Oftentimes you can see a therapist. So again, there is a wide umbrella and wide swath of treatment available to you depending on the severity of the TBI. And I would, if people would like more information, they can contact me, or they can do some research on the CDC and at the Mayo Clinic. They have very good primers for what to do and what to look out for. And it's a lot of information. So that would probably be the best course of researching on your own or giving me a call.
I would imagine in your position that most of the time, especially with the more severe cases, you're dealing with a loved one of the person suffering because that person may not be able to communicate adequately enough with you to as far as getting a representation. Is that probably makes your job a little more difficult? Yes.
Yeah, anytime there's an emotional aspect to our job when you're dealing with someone who has trouble communicating, it does definitely add to the complexity of the representation, but it also makes our job more rewarding because when you're actually making a difference and you're dealing with someone who has been wrongfully hurt and you have that emotional attachment to your client, I feel you're going to be able to represent them better. But it can be a little bit frustrating at times when there is a lack of communication or a inability to communicate on both sides. Maybe the lawyer is not understanding and maybe the other person has a inability, not because of any reason other than their injury, about being able to communicate and express the severity of their injuries. But it can definitely lead to some frustration, but it definitely can work out. And with these injuries, you have to have patience and perseverance and just to be able to push it forward and get the right medical treatment for the people that have lost a lot of their cognitive abilities.
Is it important to find an attorney in these, especially in these cases, who has experience with traumatic brain injury because of the special skill set involved in that?
Most definitely. Like any profession, the amount of experience someone has is going to lead you to a better result, better access to treatment, better advice. So definitely you want a attorney that has experience in this area. This area is very, I won't say nuanced, but it is definitely complex and has a lot of issues that people that haven't dealt with it before, they may be able to work their way through, but someone with experience is going to be able to navigate those waters a lot more fluidly and expertly and lead you down the right path.
Logan, thank you so much for answering our questions today. That's very helpful. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Logan Quirk of the Quirk Law Group based in California and Nevada. If you want the best information about TBI or you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, make sure to visit our website, askthelawyer.com. Also, take a second and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the button at the bottom of the screen so you don't miss future episodes. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.